All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live show for The Golden Fool by Robin Hobb. I'm pretty sure everybody who has been or is watching has been with us from the beginning, but I always like to start with introductions if you are joining us for the first time. Andrew, do you want to start? Introduce your channel and who you are.
Sure. I'm the Golden Fool. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. Run a booktube channel that covers fantasy and sci-fi, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
All right, Stephanie.
My name's Stephanie. My channel is Stephanie's Bookverse, and I too chat mostly about fantasy books on my channel.
Nico.
And I am Nico. My channel, Nico's Book Reviews. I also do mostly fantasy. I'm trying to be better about more sci-fi, but Robin Hobb takes up a lot of my reading time, so we're sticking with mostly fantasy for now.
And I'm Megan from Megan's Reading Revelations. And this has been the year of Robin Hobb for me. Like last year was the year of Brandon Sanderson. This is totally the year of Robin Hobb, just like going through it. But this is going to be just a conversation about the book, and it's going to be full of spoilers. And it'll probably spoil things not only for this book, but also for like the live ship traders and the first year trilogy. So just FYI. So does anyone want to start off with like their initial thoughts about the book, maybe what they rated it compared to other books in the realm of the Elderlings? Anyone want to start with their generic thoughts?
So it feels weird to even say this. I think this might have been my favorite so far. And I was not expecting that because like I've enjoyed both Farseer and Live Ships, but I enjoyed Farseer more. So like I was really happy to get back to Fitz. But I feel like without saying anything spoiler at this point, this book hit on so many of the same emotional moments from the Farseer trilogy that it just like added my good feelings about the Farseer trilogy into it. And so yeah, I honestly think this might be my favorite Hobb book so far.
What specific events, like, can you think of off the top of your head?
So a lot of the stuff that happens in Buckkeep just kind of involves Fitz revisiting people and places from his past. And those interactions were just so good. And so many of them were just like heartbreaking. But are we allowed to talk spoilers for the whole time, or are we waiting?
Well,
I'm trying to be really vague.
No, yeah, spoiler discussion, 100%.
Okay, so I'll just outright say it, but like so the ones that like I thought especially were great because like he's already dealing with the fact that Night Eyes is gone, which was just hit me like a ton of bricks in the first book, so that's already rough. But it's like him interacting with the Fool as Lord Golden again, but then having Burrick be there and him almost meeting with Burrick but just not able to do it, and just kind of having all of those feelings, thinking about himself, his interactions with Dutiful. It's just him flashing back to his childhood there and having to like deal with all of the weight of the things that happened is just, as Derry got it right there, the pain.
Yeah, especially the fact that he's now the skill master. Like, I just feel like that's almost completely full circle.
Yeah. And it's just like that's where like the beginning of the book should have been boring by all rights, because it's just like, oh, Fitz is getting back to being in Buckkeep and living here again. But I just like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And it was just all those moments that flashed me back to moments in the original trilogy, him dealing with those things. So it's just, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I love it. Would you? Yeah.
I ended up giving it 5 stars. So far, I think I'm pretty much done with Fool's Fate, and I think I enjoy Golden Fool a little bit better. Specifically because like it's just Fitz re-entering the politics and the day in the life of Buckkeep and getting drawn back in, and like really writing that line on whether or not he wants to resume his life as Fitz chivalry. Because I mean, he in Fitz's mind he can't do so, but he still feels the need to help Dutiful and Shade and really kind of protect the Farseer line. But he's got his boundaries, and he's just got some things that he can't get past. What was really interesting was, you know, the whole skill healing thing towards the end of the book was a really interesting thing because it removes a lot of his pain, a lot of his physical and his emotional pain. It ties so well to the what was the first trilogy called?
Farseer.
Sorry, I'm really tired too. The Farseer trilogy, where, like, you know, we didn't realize where his headaches were coming from. It was due to the beatings that he received.
Yeah.
And like he had like broken orbital sockets, and it just all of that, like it just every single book enriches the world and the story more and more and more. Because one thing that Robin Hobb is amazing at is basically saying, you thought you knew what was going on. Here's the next book that explains the world even further, just to prove to you you had no clue what was going on.
Yeah. People keep posting in the comments other like specific moments. I'm like, yep, that one too, that one too. There are just so many good ones. And somebody just mentioned where the name Tom came from
I
in
know.
Verity and Chivalry's letters.
Well, that was heart-wrenching when
It's just
people found out everything. And I love the moment where he realized who Fitz was. Like, this is Fitz Chivalry. He's a Farseer. He's not Tom Badgerlock. And like just began to like have this adoration for him. Like, I love that so much.
there were so many of those moments because I mean, like at the very beginning of Fool's Errand, when he goes by Tom, and I'm like, oh, because that's what Patience was gonna call him, but you didn't know there was like a whole backstory at the time. In Farseer, it just seemed like, oh, I'm gonna call you Tom because she was nervous. Not that there was a whole thing. So it's just, yeah, so much building off of it that it got like the crossover emotions. All my emotions from Farseer re-entered me with Golden Fool. So,
and Thick is a great character, Derry. I love Thick.
I've enjoyed what's been done with Thick. It was very, very unique.
Yeah, I grew to like him as the book went on. Yeah. What did you guys think about the tie-ins from the Live Ship Traders? Because someone asked me at one point, like, if you could read this without reading Live Ship, and I was like, well, the first book, yes, I think so, but this one, no. I feel like there's way too many spoilers for Live Ship, and you know, you have others. They're talking about Others Island, and then they're talking about the dragons, and then, you know, the Fool is explaining to Fitz about the dragons and how they go into their cocoons and how the memories work, etc. So
and the Bangtown Traders show up.
Yeah, and then Selden, like that whole significance. Like, I feel like if you hadn't read Live Ship, you really would have missed out on those connections. I loved it. I loved it so much. So, were you guys expecting to see Selden there, or maybe someone else?
Not really, because I didn't really like Selden that much.
He didn't really have a big part. Like,
yeah, but like he seemed to kind of just, I'm this mysterious character, and I'm like, Selden, you're like 12, or maybe by this point in time, I'll say he's like 16.
I don't even know if he's that old.
I don't think he's that old.
No,
he was like what, 8 or 10 in Live Ship?
Yeah, he was so young.
He's gonna still be really
so
young.
he's probably like 12.
Yeah,
because I think time passed between Farseer and Live Ship, and then there's more time that's passed between Live Ship and Tawny Man, specifically because, you know, the Fool is back on like horses and like it's post for a while. So, but and then the whole disagreement between Tawny Man, or between the Fool and Fitz, kind of really, I don't know, like I hate to see them fight, and so it's hard to read that because a lot of the times I'm just like, no, don't go there. Like, don't let people's assumptions color what's happening in your relationship. And Fitz just got so mad, and I was like, no, shut up, Fitz.
Stop talking.
Stop talking.
I feel like you should have just left it at it as is, like, because they had such a good relationship. Why would you tarnish it? Just, nothing's wrong. Why try to fix what's not broken? You know what I mean?
That was such a rough thing.
Yeah. But I feel like we learn more about the Fool in this book. Do you guys think that?
Hold on, I'm trying to draw lines between Fool's Fate and Golden Fool.
Well, we learned kind of that there was like already a white prophet. So correct me if I'm wrong. There was already a white prophet, and then he is also like a white prophet. So they're kind of like.
You're talking about the Pale Lady, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we also learned about the tattoos on his back, which I was a little unclear what that was about. I don't know if you guys can clarify it for me, what that means.
It's not revealed yet.
Okay.
I was going to say, I don't think it was particularly clear. It's so my theory, since I don't know yet, because I've not gotten nearly far enough into Fool's Fate like some people. But so since then Archeska had them too, it seems to be something related to the White Prophets because it was being used to like control her, but that's where I'm not really sure what it does to him. So I imagine that's going to be a huge plot point or a huge piece of relevance, at least in Fool's Fate, I'm guessing.
Okay. Have you read anything about that yet, Andrew?
Yes.
You have. Okay. Okay.
See, this is why I wasn't going to start it yet.
I didn't know the
Okay.
live show was going to be so late.
I'm
And Derry is just killing it in the comments because we just get his tattoos, sobs. So apparently we're definitely going to find out something.
Well, one of the book covers of like the older editions, I thought it was a woman who's like his back is shown with all these tattoos, and then when I read that scene, I was like, wait, that's the Fool. So, yeah. But now I'm curious about the Narcheska, like what her deal is, like why does she have them? What can she do? So now I'm all invested in her story.
Well, because the
I'm not
Fool,
gonna
I
say
think, even said
anything.
something. The Fool like said something about like he couldn't believe that the White Lady would be so cruel as to put those on the Narcheska. So
Well,
yes,
she
I
was
don't know.
in the
I'm
room
very curious.
crying in pain, wasn't she? And her
Yeah,
uncle
they
was
like literally burned.
yeah. But does
So
it
I
have
feel
something
like
to do with
dragon
dragons?
related. I have to feel like it's somewhat like dragon / elderling related. And
Yeah.
I don't really know how that fits in because we still don't know a ton about the Fool. But granted, like the Fool seems to very obviously be trying to like save the dragons. So it definitely, I feel like, could have some relation there.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought there was so many things too, and I'll jump back slightly. I was going to say, Jennifer, that's your role in every one of these shows, usually, just trying not to spoil anything. But to jump, it was all of the different. We got so much more information. I felt like in Golden Fool, his Fool's Errand was kind of it was telling a specific story point and like setting up for the rest of it. But we got so much more information. We started to tie things together from the live ship books and in the Six Duchies. Like we find out that there is literally trade between Jamila and the place where the Fool's from, things like that. And so it's just like it really the world is starting to come together, but we still, despite all that, don't really know that much about the Fool.
Yeah, that was one of the things I liked about this book was that there were so many things that it touched on. Like it touched on the conflict with the piebalds. It touched on Dutiful's marriage. It touched on the skill. It touched on things going on with like a lot of like the dragons. So I felt like even though there were a bunch of different plot points, like you said, they were all tied together, and it really kept my interest. Especially, I found the beginning a little bit slow, but like it definitely like picked up and was really really good. What do you guys think about like the Islanders and the Narcheska and their role, maybe her future relationship with Dutiful? Like, how do you think that's going to go?
Okay, I gotta be quiet here.
Yeah, you do.
I can say it does start to make sense. It does get explained. That's really all I can give you. But from just Golden Fool, I thought that like you definitely get to see the clash of the different cultures. Where like literally it's just a lack of misunderstanding. Like the Six Duchies is a patriarchal and the Out Islanders is matriarchal. And it's just those two just clashing. It's very hard for them to come together and come to an understanding just because everything is just so opposite.
Was that actually a statue of her that he got from Others Island?
That actually, I don't know. That has not been explained at where I'm at so far.
Okay.
That is still a mystery.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's kind of just like, I don't know, maybe fortune telling. I don't know.
I'm still so curious about Others Island and the others in general. And Cryptic has told me that you do find some more of that out later. But yeah, there's so many things. It's like that Hobb does such a great job of the more information she gives you, the more questions she also gives you.
Yeah.
So like you get the satisfaction that you're finding things out, but you just have even more questions. And man, there's so many things I want to know. I wish I could just like take a month off and just read the rest of them all in one go.
I agree.
Could you imagine just
That might
sitting
be
in the
too much.
corner, an emotional wreck?
At the end of it, I would commit suicide, and it would,
I have to like get an antidepressant prescription.
Are the Rainwild books as bad?
What?
Are the Rainwild books as bad? Are they as emotional? I don't know. I just kind of feel like I've never heard of anyone getting like wrecked as bad with those books, but maybe they
Listen,
are.
we need to hear from Jennifer because Jennifer is our secret Robin Hobb.
The only thing I know about it is I hear that they're not as good, like all around, but that's just someone's opinion, so I can't.
So my theory on that, because I've heard that a lot too, I think it's because it follows Tawny Man. And I imagine the Rain Wilds books are going to be going back to, they might have some repeat characters. I imagine they will, but it's probably going to be going back to that more singular story that's going to be not going to feel as connected. And that's like Live Ship was completely different, but then started kind of having some references to Farseer. But then Tawny Man really feels like it's pulling everything together. And then so jumping for 4 shorter books into a different plot line, even though I'm sure it's going to all be related, I just feel like that's going to make it seem not as bad or not as good. I mean,
I will say you'll see where Rain Wilds is going to take off at near the end of Fool's Fate. But also, I think, crap, where was I going with that? Oh, I think it got like the Hobbit treatment, like the Hobbit movies, where I think the publishers got a little bit greedy because Realm of the Elderlings was performing so well that they forced a 4th book. And so she stretched and like put some stuff in that she normally wouldn't have allowed into her stories.
Okay.
And so it's a bit weaker than the other trilogies. That's my understanding of what happened.
I mean, but if it ties everything together or ties into the whole story, like I still want to read it.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. What do you guys think about the coterie that was formed for Dutiful and all the people involved in that? You guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're all dumb and they should have made better
It's
decisions.
not going to go well.
I'm finding with each book in Tawny Man, I like Shade less and less and less.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of an asshole, and like
he's a well-written character, but he's an ass.
Well, and that was something too. That's another note. That so even early on in Fool's Fate is continuing, but it's just like the way that Fitz saw him when he was a child, and like that he was this all-knowing person, versus now the way Fitz sees him as an adult and realizes that he is very flawed. But just kind of seeing, like in this book, we see that he's still in a lot of ways just a bitter old man, that he's mad that he had his life stolen from him, and he's not necessarily as like loyal as he was, and he wants more power, and he, all these different things. You just be like, oh, you can kind of see exactly why that would be because of what happened in Farseer, but that's not the way the story was communicated, because that's not how Fitz saw it, because he was too young to understand. And so a character that I really, really enjoyed in Farseer, and I'm just like, I don't like you so much anymore.
Well, yeah, and like you said, Fitz is an older man now, and he can interact with him as an adult. And like he's like, listen, I've sacrificed for my country. I deserve answers. You will treat me as an equal. Mm-hmm. And at that point, Shade kind of takes a step back, and he's just like, no, I'm the adult. I've been doing this my whole life. My magic's been robbed from me. I was denied my birthright. No. Boo hoo.
I mean, you kind of have to sympathize with them.
Well, that's what Hobb does so well.
For Shade.
That's what Hobb does so well. And this is kind of the reverse, because she'll write terrible characters, but then make you understand them a little bit. Because that was my argument. And granted, Kyle is a terrible human being. But like in the first book, she made it very clear how terrible he was, but then also kept giving you reasons to be like, I see where he's coming from. I don't agree with him, but I see how he arrived at this conclusion. And what? Sorry?
Makes him like a more real character, like a real
yeah. And even
I
like
love how he
Regal,
just got yeeted off the side of the boat at the end of.
so, I was so pleased. I felt like to an extent, and I know some people complained because it wasn't like a fully fleshed out plot, but I'm like, no, go throw Kyle in a cell to rot for a year, pull him out and kill him. I was so happy. It was so satisfying. I felt like that was making up for us not getting to see Regal die on screen. So.
Yeah, I feel like because Chade no longer has to fear hiding, like he's not confined to being in the shadows, he's more like bold, and that's why he's being a little bit reckless in the skill and trying to like pursue the skill.
He's also a perv.
He's a perv, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Why? What did he do?
He's like this 60,
Oh.
70-year-old man constantly dancing and flirting and taking 20-year-old women to his bedchamber.
Look, he denied everything for all those years.
If they want to, I mean, as long as they're adults.
Listen, there is such a thing as robbing that cradle.
He keeps his secret. Speaking of that, what do you guys think about what happened between Fitz and Jenna? How that whole thing went down.
Is that the hedge witch?
Yeah. I don't know. I think
me and Stephanie had a bet the last live show, and the bet is coming true.
It's not true yet.
Is that what bet are you talking about? Is that about Molly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not coming true. That would be the stupidest thing ever. I'd be so mad.
Why is Jenna creepy? Why do you think she's creepy?
I'm actually curious. I didn't like the way her character I didn't like the way their relationship ended.
Yeah, me neither.
That felt very like I always felt like she was very understanding and like a part of this community, and then like she doesn't even like she just blatantly comes at him for being old blood.
Yeah.
Well,
and like starts throwing around like accusations, and he's just like, you know what? I thought you were different. Peace out. Bye.
Yeah, because I liked her in book 1, and I thought she was like a good fit for Fitz, and she was good to have and generous, but I think that was just a way for Robin Hobb to show like the prejudice. One of the ways to show the prejudice that
it felt like she was just there for somebody to sleep with Fitz, because everybody's attracted to Fitz
with a broken nose and a million scars. Everyone wants to jump his bones, apparently.
Andrew's just jealous.
There could be a book without that. For him, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I thought the whole thing with her, because it got Fool's Errand ended on that kind of like bittersweet moment that Hobb also does really well, where like things obviously were terrible, but then there was that moment where he was like spending time with her. But I'm like, this is a Hobb book, and this is not going to end well. So like I knew something was going to happen, and so I felt like it felt a little bit abrupt. But yeah, I think and. What Jennifer just said too, I think it made sense because it was just kind of showing that he was just kind of existing and not really thinking about the consequences. It showed like all the things he was criticizing Hap for. He's like, oh, I'm doing this myself again, and then also just the fact that she ends up having still all of these prejudices against him, and that was kind of like bringing it home that even somebody he knew and cared about and who cared about him could still believe these terrible things about the wit and everything. So
yeah, I feel like she should be more, I guess, empathetic because she's possesses magic herself, even though it's not like scrutinized the way the wit is. But I forgot where I was going to go with that. So
do we want to talk about Night Eyes? I don't know if that's conveyed well in the written book, but Night Eyes is still around.
Is it like his spirit?
Yeah, basically, like whenever he needs a good chastising, all of a sudden Night Eyes pops in and tells him to get his crap together, and he like hears the voice of Night Eyes in his head, and it's like that remnant that we're told that the old blood can retain after their partner has passed.
So I listened to a lot of this on audiobook. So the audio narrator actually did like a different voice for whenever that would happen. And it was easy to like differentiate like Fitz's thought and Night Eye's thought. So I just wasn't sure if it was Fitz kind of thinking as Night Eyes or if it was actually Night Eyes.
I think it's Night Eyes. I don't have that. The answer is not in Fool's Fate. This is just my opinion. I think it's Night Eyes.
Do you? Okay.
I think it's kind of a mix, is how I took it, because that whole remnant thing was explained, but like they had such a close bond that like a piece of him is still there in the back of his mind, even though like I don't think it's like Night Eyes' spirit is like actually like alive or anything like that. Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh man,
Fitz is kind of stupid.
That's a fair point. He does make a lot of dumb decisions.
And the thing is like we're in his head and we're like, why are you being this way? Like, oh my god, it drives me nuts. Especially when it came to Hap, I was like, oh my god.
I thought Fitz. As a parent, I didn't think I would have done anything different. Like I'd have just let Hap do his thing. And like a teenager is gonna do what a teenager is gonna do. He even like sat there and was like, listen, I know you're not going to listen to me. This is a dumb idea.
He had to let him fail.
Basically, he was just like, I've got no choice. You're not going to, I've got to be up at the castle. You've got your apprenticeship. So we're already separated. So you're going to take whatever advice I give you and you're going to go be dumb. And I really thought that, I mean, what other option did he have other than to pull the apprenticeship and move him into the castle?
None.
Well, I mean,
and then Hap just ran away to go sleep with his girlfriend anyway.
He did crack down a little, and like kind of I guess it was mostly because of Jenna, but like he ended up basically Hap was kind of forced to go live with his master and do that kind of stuff. But I felt like he did kind of just kept thinking like, oh, it'll be fine, and that's something you get with Fitz too. He keeps thinking about how he reacted, and he's such a victim to what he's seen and repeats while thinking he doesn't want to. Like he doesn't want to crack down on Hap because he knows he acted the same and how he reacted, but he also doesn't want Hap to repeat his mistakes. But by letting him, he's kind of just letting it happen. And it gets kind of why Fitz takes so much crap, because he does think about things like that. Just like with Chade, like he gets why Chade is the way that he is, but he also doesn't think like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's okay,
I will say this. Hap is just stupid.
Yeah, he is.
But
He's just
like
dumb.
Never been exposed to anything. Like he grew up in the woods with
I know, but like even if somebody grows up in the woods, if somebody goes, hey, this is what's happening, this is stupid, and he goes, nuh-uh. That's his response.
Okay, think back to when you were 15 and in love. Think how irrational you were.
I was not irrational.
I didn't get a first real girlfriend until I was 18. This is a poor
okay, whatever.
Example.
Sorry. Okay. We all think we will never be our parents. Yeah, I like how Fitz, like, once again, coming full circle, like he recognizes that he was the same way and now his kid is being the same way. And I don't know, I thought it was a good, like, parenting, I guess, aspect to the book, even though I don't have children. So
what's Dutiful's friend? What's
Sybil?
Sybil Bersinger.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
That guy is being given all the chances in the world, and I think Dutiful's dumb too. I think a lot of these characters just do dumb crap.
I think Dutiful's dumb. That's why he's dumb since the first book.
I feel like he's immature. I think he needs to mature. For his age, I feel like he's really immature.
Well, I feel like it's with both with both Dutiful and with Hap. I think part of it's immaturity and also just naivete, because they both, in very, very different ways, had like really sheltered lives, and then we're just kind of like latching on. And like in both cases, it kind of shows how Fitz, even though he was determined to live on his own as a hermit, like if he would have done things differently, their lives could have been very different. Like he could have helped, or I keep wanting to say Civil instead of Dutiful. He could have helped Dutiful through the wit and or the skill sooner. He could have lived in some sort of civilization, with Hap, if he would have still had Hap. And it's just like, it kind of shows that partially his actions did cause a problem. And granted, it was totally okay of him to be like, no, I don't want to come back to Buckkeep and get thrown into all these plots again. But it's also the other side, if they kept telling him they needed him to come, and they really did. It was selfish on their part, but he was also being selfish for good reason. But that's where it's that circular logic where it just kind of it goes both ways so well.
Yeah, Robin Hobb just writes the messiest situations in like the best way possible. Like there is no right answer. Like no matter what you do, there's really no right answer. Oh, we can talk about Nettle. Ag says also Nettle. So we definitely got a lot more of Nettle in this book. I personally really liked it. How did you guys think about it?
Nettle is going to be a pain for Fitz. She's got an attitude and she's stubborn and she's powerful. So I feel like he's going to have his hands full with her.
Do you think that she's witted also or just able to skill? I just have an inkling that she's also witted.
I think she's both.
I think she is too. Does Andrew know?
I can see him. Andrew's not allowed to answer this question.
So the problem is I literally cannot differentiate when it comes to Nettle. I don't remember how she was in Golden Fool.
She was skilling to Fitz, so she was like kind of
That doesn't help me.
no, not on purpose. Well, they had a connection before,
Right?
and like he could hear her skilling, and then they would have conversations, and she would call him the Gray Wolf, right? Isn't that what she called
Shadow
him?
Wolf.
What?
She calls him Shadow Wolf.
Shadow Wolf.
Yeah,
Because I guess that's how he appeared to her, how she like made him in her mind, and then they would just converse. And like as the book went on, their conversations got a little bit like more and more detailed, I guess, because he's trying to hold back and not put her in danger and anything. So
right. I honestly don't remember her scenes. It all blends together for me.
Yeah, that's really
because Golden Fool ends and then Fool's Fate picks up.
Okay.
And so it's all one. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, so I'm gonna have to remain silent.
Well, when they were trying to develop the coterie, they had wanted the queen had wanted, or Chade, was it the queen or Chade or both? Had wanted to call Nettle like out and put her like train her to be part of Dutiful's coterie, and then Fitz said absolutely not. I'll be your skill master under one condition, that doesn't happen. So right. I just feel like she's too powerful, and eventually she's going to have some part to play in either the coterie or at Buckkeep or something.
I've been assuming the whole time with how much of a plot point that has been that it's going to end up happening no matter how much he doesn't want it to. That's just kind of my assumption, is that we'll see more of that.
Yeah. Derry knows my thoughts on that whole plot line.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The whole Nettle plot line?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it.
Andrew ranted he gave absolutely no spoiler, not an inkling of what he was talking about, and immediately I'm like, this is about Nettle, isn't it? Before I even started book 3. So
I was a pressure cooker, and if I didn't vent, I was gonna explode.
I hope she's not obnoxious though. Like I feel like Robin Hobb writes obnoxious teenagers. I just don't want her to be obnoxious.
I know
she usually makes them better.
She makes teenagers like the worst version of it.
Like, I mean, when's the last time you saw a teenager who wasn't obnoxious? I mean,
I don't really interact with teenagers anymore. So
I was going to say I don't really hang out with teenagers.
I mean, I teach 8th grade, so
I'm in for it when my daughter grows up, but until then.
Okay.
I literally, even when I was a teenager, I found teenagers annoying. So
I do. Let's circle back to Thick though. I do remember Thick's interactions when they find out that Thick's a spy, and they literally discounted him as a spy because he's a halfwit. Mm-hmm. And then, like when it comes out, they're just like, "Oh crap."
Dude, I thought it the whole time. They kept saying things in front of him that they shouldn't have been saying, and I'm like, "You guys didn't learn your lesson last time with the little girl, like
with Rosemary, yeah,
talk in front of people."
I thought the same thing. Like they were just revealing too much information, and like all you have to do is scare him or give him food, and he'll reveal everything because he doesn't know. Yeah. Like he hadn't developed any loyalties, so he didn't care.
Yeah, no,
he's one of my favorite characters in the whole trilogy.
What?
He's one of my favorite characters in the entire trilogy.
He's funny.
I feel
he's funny. He's stubborn. He's just so much fun.
I feel like he's gonna be like just the strength that they all draw like skill power from. Like that's gonna be his only job.
I'm gonna be so mad though if they like end up abusing that, because I could definitely see Chade especially doing that.
Well, Chade started to, and Fitz
Already
told him no.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Did you catch that thick skilled? Hold on. Fitz the first time Fitz saw. Yes. Didn't he
Mhm,
say
yeah.
me?
Don't see me.
Yeah, he told him not to see him. Yeah.
Do you think that he has any relation to the Farseers, or do you think he's just like kind of a random person?
I think he's
he's
just a
random.
random offshoot.
Yeah, same.
Because the Out Islanders do have skill users. It's implied in the Farseer trilogy, so that's not really a spoiler.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are some out in the Out Islanders who have strong skill.
Well, I mean, there would have to be, because the Farseers came from the Out Islands,
Right.
so it wouldn't make any sense for that to just be them. But I mean, even like in Live Ship, they don't call it the skill, but it's, if not factually stated, extremely heavily implied that it's the same magic system, because like they use the magic for healing in Live Ship traders that we then see skilled in Golden Fool. You know, like Wintro kind of has some of that with Kennet, and then it was even with talking to the ship basically with how to like fix yourself, and like, so it seemed like that is all using some sort of skill. And I'm assuming that, and I imagine more will be revealed, but I'm assuming that like dragons are probably like the original incredibly powerful skill users, and maybe that's where the skill comes from. With humans, was from elderlings, and then it was passed along or something like that.
The skill isn't exclusive to Farseers. It's more likely when Out Islanders mix with Mainlanders.
Interesting.
And Thick is older than I thought he was. Like, for some reason, I thought Thick was like, a young man. He's not.
Mm-mm.
He's like
It was
late
like-
20s.
I think he's maybe just mentally like young,
Yeah.
and acts the way that he does.
I always kind of saw him as a bit older.
Yeah, like an older, like a child in a man's body kind of thing.
Yeah.
Who here's read Name of the Wind, by the way?
I DNF'd it 10 years
That's me.
ago. Does that count?
Yeah. This actually came out before Name of the Wind, and I thought it might have been the inspiration for it, or at least a partial inspiration for Name of the Wind, because it felt like Name of the Wind, but 5 times better.
Oh, I loved Name of the Wind.
Oh, you didn't like it, Andrew.
I don't. That's why I said it's 5 times
Oh, I
better.
love it.
Dude.
I love Name of the Wind.
God, that was like right when I started fantasy, and I DNF'd it, and I actually like repurchased it because I'm gonna try it again. And when I told Andrew that, he gave this look like just don't even try it.
No, I loved it. I thought it was so good, but
I own the book. If the series is ever finished, I will read it.
yeah, that's what you need to do, because he's probably not going to finish it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Listen, Name of the Wind was fine. Wise Man's Fear is a war crime, okay?
I'm still gonna read it, let's be honest.
I can see why people wouldn't like Wise Man's Fear, but I actually did enjoy it.
100% agree with Derry, by the way. That was the same image I had in my mind.
Down syndrome.
Hmm.
Yeah. something like
Just
that.
kind of the way it was described.
Sugar cake.
So what do you guys think about this quest that Dutiful has to go on with Icefire?
I think Dutiful should have kept his mouth shut. That's what I
I think it's a shite show.
Yeah, I'm like, you have no right to do that, and he should have kept his mouth shut. And Ketrikin's over there like, psh, idiot.
What bugs me about Dutiful is everybody defers to Dutiful, but he's just a prince right now. He is not king in waiting, and everybody calls him my king. Or like there are times where they will bounce between prince and king within the same paragraph, and I'm like, he doesn't have that title. Like y'all were splitting hairs in Farseer all damn day, and now all of a sudden, like just because he's the only one left who can assume the throne that y'all know of, y'all just defer to this little boy and let him do whatever he wants.
Well, and that's where I think it's kind of slightly different, because in Farseer there still was a king. But whereas Catrican is the queen, but she's not really a Farseer.
Yeah.
So she's, basically seen as Like it's not like Dutiful will become king in waiting when he's of age, and then he'll just straight up become king when like the dukes decide he's ready. It has nothing to do with like Ketchikan dying or anything. He will just become king. So she's really more of like a chancellor than anything. Like she's the queen, but she's not like
Like a regent.
really.
She's
Yeah,
just a regent.
that's the word I was looking for. Yes, thank you. I knew chancellor was wrong, but I couldn't think of regent. So, but yeah, basically, yeah,
watched
she's the
Maine.
queen regent.
But I think it's going to be an interesting like quest just to go slay a dragon, just because I find the dragons fascinating and they're just such an integral part of the plot. And when the Fool was talking about like Icefire needing to kind of meet with Tintaglia, I'm like, well, they can't kill him now. Like, what, they are on this quest to kill him and they can't kill him now.
Does it seem like to anyone else that the other, like the Pale Lady, the other White Prophet, wants the dragons to be killed off, and Fool wants the dragons to survive? So like they're like the clash of the White Prophets, and this quest is going to determine like who wins.
Yeah.
Because if they kill him,
Yep.
the Pale Lady wins. If they don't kill that dragon and he goes and mates with Tintaglia, then the Fool kind of wins. So I don't know.
Well,
What,
and
Andrew?
that's my theory. Andrew, be quiet.
And
So
then
my
I'm over
theory,
here.
Andrew, just actually cover your face again because I don't want you to react to what I'm about to
But
say.
it's what it sounds like.
Well, then I completely agree. And so what my theory is I think the prophecy that the Fool says is something about the White Prophet dying, not necessarily about him dying. We know there's another White Prophet. So that's the whole point. She wants to kill the dragons. He's trying to save them. And so if she dies on the island, the White Prophet dies, but not the Fool, who's the other White Prophet.
But
So that's
he
kind of
said
my
something
working
about-
theory.
He said something about himself dying.
Yeah, well, he assumes it's him, but he doesn't necessarily know for sure. I think it's more like this is the convergence, because that's why I don't think he necessarily said like in the prophecy, like the exact wording, which I don't know off the top of my head. I was pretty sure that the wording was like the White Prophet will die.
As soon as we get off this call, we're not on work. Sorry.
We're gonna give you that action item, Megan.
What?
We're gonna give you that action item, Megan.
Okay, thanks. I'm gonna go start that because like Andrew's facial expressions, like I really want to start it and see what it's all about. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be up till like 1 a.m. Like
I literally can't say anything.
No.
I started this morning, and I said I've just been flying through despite
The
having
white
almost no
culture
time.
is super interesting. It's really weird.
Well, didn't the dragon tattoos maybe come from the white culture? Because he, like the White Prophet, the original one, didn't do it to the Fool. Didn't she tell them to do it to him? So they knew like how to do it, right? Like she told the priests or whoever was there teaching him to do it to him, right? She didn't come do it herself.
I don't think she
Right.
did.
Yeah, so like maybe those things are from their culture, like the way they do it and the purpose of them and stuff. Gosh.
Well, yeah, because it sounds like it's the White Prophet either did or had the tattoos done to the Narcheska. I don't think she had them for any Out Island reason. It seems to be
No.
something that the White Lady did.
But so I don't know if you guys caught this, but it almost made it sound like, so that scene where Fitz is watching her in the room and she's in pain, it almost seems like she's connected to the dragons. Did anyone catch that, or did I just completely make that up?
Either the dragons or the sea serpents, yeah.
Something.
Like she's connected
He
to
said yes.
something.
Okay.
It seemed like it was related to that. Yeah, I agree.
But does that mean that the Fool has the same connection because he also has the tattoos?
And that's what I'm curious on, because I feel like there's got to be some connection. But I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
And the fact that like it's the other thing is as, and I don't know if it's all of their culture, but like at least him, he kind of like metamorphosizes over time too. And he started as being very pale and then became the tawny man. Like as that keeps going, I'm like, what's the final form? What are you gonna turn into? Like I don't know. There's so many questions.
I started thinking it was just like makeup and stuff, but I don't know.
No, I think he changes.
He must have, like, you can't change your skin color like that. You can't, go from woman to man like that.
Well, he almost like sheds his skin every now and then or something, is what it sounded like.
Yeah. I don't think he's human personally.
I don't think entirely.
Or like
maybe humanoid, but
yeah.
Yeah, the whites don't seem to be fully human.
No.
Everybody in the comments is telling me to shut up.
You're not saying anything.
I warned you not to read it, Andrew. I told you to wait for the live show.
In your eyes.
It is making me want to read it so much more bad because he's just trying not to say anything, and they're all like, "Don't you dare spoil anything." I'm like, "What is gonna happen in this book?"
It gets explained. That's what I'll tell you.
I have to know. I'm so excited.
Okay, sorry. I'm just looking at the things I had written down. I think really we touched on everything that I had written down. I don't know if any of you guys want to add anything or any thoughts on anything specific.
What are you guys hoping happens?
Okay, with what?
I just want to sit here and giggle with glee. That's really all I want. Like, what are your hopes and dreams from the end of this trilogy?
I want the fool to duke it out with the lady and kick her butt.
I want the dragon and the ice to eat the lady.
Ooh, that would be fun.
I want
like that.
people to actually. What I would love to see happen is for Fitz to be recognized as legitimate and like I don't know, an actual prince. And I really want Dutiful to know that that's his biological father. I know that's like a big thing, but
Yeah.
I know. Well, he is.
I think he's talking about how it happened, not the fact that
weird.
it's true. Yeah.
That was so weird.
But yeah, it's just I feel like it's it's always hinted that Fitz might someday be legitimate, but I just have this image in my head of like the final book, like when he's older, and like I don't know if any of this is correct, but like him, the fool, just both older, off, like kind of like living on their own, and like finally, like I'm sure some bad stuff's gonna happen, but I just like I hope for like this just like going off into the sunset to live a simple life, their duty done forever kind of thing.
Nah.
It's Robin Hobb, and probably
He's
won't
not
happen.
gonna do that.
I want to see like some of the live ship traders characters other than Selden come into play. Like
We had Jack. Jennifer's asking about Jack.
But she wasn't like, huge. Like she wasn't Althea or like. You know what I mean?
I think we get that in Rain Wild.
Well, and I think the final trilogy, from what I've heard, really pulls in like everyone. Oh, that was so painful. I knew it was gonna happen as soon as I was like,
so
oh no,
awkward.
it's Jack. Like she's gonna say something.
He's like asking personal questions. What interaction?
Because she recognizes Fitz immediately.
She pulled his police onto the ship. Yeah.
And then she's like, "What? You didn't tell him you love him?" And it's just like, "Oh no!" And that starts the whole thing.
Yeah, she needed to keep her mouth shut.
It was her fault.
A little bit, but also, I feel like the fool is to blame in this too. Like we can't put it all on Fitz for being stupid because, like, yeah, he totally was. But I mean, the fool let her think that way. The fool almost encouraged it a little bit. And like, I don't know. I feel like the fool was very immature in that situation as well. Like she did not deal with it well at all. I just think that if they both would have been more mature about the situation, then it wouldn't have gone as badly.
Do you guys remember in the third Farseer book where Starling kept like hinting at the fact that the fool was in love with Fitz and was a woman? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought it would like come back around. But like
I thought the fool was totally in love with him, but at that point I thought that the fool was a man.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I'm in the camp.
It's still in the air on whether or not the fool is a man.
I'm still in the camp of it's not necessarily either. But that was the thing too, is like the fool was always, and granted the tattoos in retrospect might have had something to do with it, but the fool was like always adamant about like not taking off his shirt or like being exposed in any way. And that might have just been for the tattoos, but that played into like, is he a man? Is he a woman? Mm-hmm. And I think it's just, I'm guessing it's somewhere in between.
Well, the whites are very, very, very odd. Like it will keep you guessing anyway, because there's like stuff in Fool's Fate where you're like, oh, clearly, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Like I think they're just meant to be ambiguous.
Yeah, and that's I'm still not convinced they're entirely human. So.
Oh, what did you guys think about Starling in this book? Like, I thought Robin Hobb would have gotten rid of her by now. She's still around.
I like that. They made up at the end of this book, right?
They were. I mean, like friends.
They
Yeah,
talked.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked that
I was
scene.
like, that's not Fool's Fate, right? Like, yeah. So they made up, and like she's just insecure and she's unhappy. She's trying to like secure a life for herself. Like, I get all of that. She says some really awful things to Fitz.
I just don't really know what her importance is at this point.
She's just another character. Like, what was the point of Fitz going back to the cabin to retrieve his papers? It serves, at least at this point, it's served no further purpose other than to get the Fitz out of the castle.
Well, I think it's the way Hobb approaches a story, which I know some people complained, especially in Assassin's Quest, about it. It's not necessarily every character or every plot point is going to be super relevant. There's usually so much more that's relevant than you realize until it comes back later, but not everything is necessarily going to be relevant. You might just meet people in passing and maybe they aren't super important. Or even like Starling, who was important to Fitz, isn't crazy important to the overall plot, but because she was important to him, we get focus. And that's always the weird thing is the story focuses on whatever's important to Fitz, whatever Fitz is thinking about. And that
is this
definitely
going to
means
cause
you
Fitz
miss
anxiety? Let's
a
write
lot.
it in there.
I just thought it was funny where she's like, I think my husband's cheating on me. Do you want to come home with me, Fitz? Like,
Right? I'm like,
It was a total Starling thing to do, though.
she's a mess. Like, she's a mess. Do you guys think that the whole like conflict with the Piebalds is resolved because he killed Loudwine? Is that his name?
no.
No.
That would be one I would, if it was actually over, I would be super disappointed just because I don't feel like there's really been much resolution there. So I don't know if that's going to be something that'll get resolved more in Fool's Fate, or if it'll even go longer than that. But there's definitely still feels like there has to be something more there.
I felt like it was just a little bit too easy. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm glad
it's definitely not over. But I think it'll still come up because Dutiful has the wit, and Katrikin's like trying to make things better for the witted people.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they have the meeting in Golden Fool with the that like what's
the Old Bloods.
Web.
Yeah, but I forget the word.
Delegation.
Yeah, delegation. That how to do. Let's say that with the Old Bloods, and like people start saying, "Hey, I'm Old Blood. Hey, I'm Old Blood. I'm gonna be Old Blood in public." So it's gonna have further ramifications. It's got to, because people aren't just going to change their culture like that.
Yeah, I thought that honestly, Katrikin was a really well written character in this book. Like she was just a very strong like queen. I thought she did a good job.
Is Webb the like kind of weird guy?
Yeah, with
I love
Bird.
Webb.
Yeah,
he's the older.
Webb's great.
Yeah,
I liked Webb a lot.
I'm glad you liked him because he's not gone yet.
Is he like?
He goes on the trip with them, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I should say, I think it was mentioned that he was going to in Golden Fool.
Remember that?
I think he volunteered too. He's just like, I'll go.
I want to see how the Fool's gonna end up tagging along because Chade and Fitz were talking like, I'm gonna bar him from this ship, and then
I
I'm
know, little brat.
the ship, and I'm like, he's gonna figure out a way to come along.
They're trying to save his life.
I know.
Well, Fitz is trying to save his life. I don't think Chade cares.
Chade's just being a prick about it.
Yeah, but
He's
see,
so annoying.
I figured I'm like he's super wealthy. I figured he was just gonna buy a ship at first, but oh crap, I'm barely into Fool's Fate, but what I was about to say is still technically something that happens in there. I don't think that anymore.
I wanted to see the Fool like ride in on a live ship. That's what I want to see.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my new theory. I'm like, they're gonna be like, you can't come. Then all of a sudden, like Paragon or Ophelia is gonna show up and be like, yes, he can.
So Jennifer said that Hobb is brilliant for foreshadowing, and that's all I'll say.
Yeah, there are so many things.
Love it if Paragon came in and took him. That would be awesome.
Can you
It'd
imagine
be a little
Fitz
awkward though.
seeing him like a figurehead that looks like him talking?
That'd be so cool. It's gotta happen.
Like, can you imagine Fitz seeing Paragon? Can you imagine Paragon seeing Fitz and how he would react to
Does
that?
anyone know what he looks like? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't remember.
I think,
Hold on to
yeah.
this. Okay, that would be awesome. That would be an epic scene.
Oh, I know. So if not in this one, maybe someday that would still be really cool. But yeah, there's so much early on that most of the things that I had in Farseer that were complaints, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense, were addressed. A lot of them in live ship, some more stuff that we get more detail on later in this. So I'm just completely willing to give Hobb the benefit of the doubt on anything that I'm like, that doesn't seem to make sense because it probably will later. So
I agree. Well, I'm excited to continue, and Andrew's definitely got me more pumped to start.
Fool's Fate is just hearing your guys' assumptions has me so. I imagine I'm going to be getting Voxers from Stephanie and Nico.
you betcha.
And Megan, I don't even know. Are you on Voxer?
I can't even like handle anything right now. So no, I'm
I do Voxer now instead. Like, I don't really do Discord anymore because I feel like Discord is so overwhelming because there's so many people and I can't keep up. But Voxer, I can get onto like one-on-one or like tiny group chats instead of like anyone in the universe who wants to join.
If I can carve out time, Andrew, I'll look at it. I'm like my mind.
It's literally a walkie-talkie app.
Yeah, I remember you talking about it. So.
Yeah, Stephanie and I were talking about Golden Fool on Voxer, and then I talked to Nico via text message, via Voxer, via
and I've
Discord.
been MIA for like 2 months, so it's okay. I get it.
Okay, I'm quite MIA too. I started grad school, and that's my life now.
Yeah, girl.
Yep.
I mean, you both have had very good reasons for being busy, so it happens.
So bad.
Well, that was my list of stuff. So if there's anything else you guys want to talk about,
Derry or Jennifer, do you have anything that you wanted to hear our opinions on?
We got Tag 156 too.
Yeah, Tag, do you want us? I'm sorry I excluded you. Do you want to hear?
Yes, you should be, Andrew.
I am. I'm a horrible human being, and I figured that you all knew this by this point in time. Like, I didn't try and hide it.
Well, I keep saying, I'm excited.
Yeah, I started this morning and just talking about Golden Fool, and then seeing Andrew desperately try not to talk about Fool's Fate. I'm so excited. So I'm definitely gonna read some
I
more.
was grocery shopping today, listening to Fool's Fate in the grocery store, trying not to cry.
What?
I was trying not to break down in public.
You should just let it out.
It was a poor decision, Andrew.
I assumed it was gonna be fine, and then I'm like, oh no.
What do you think of Chade's experiments with Bill?
I think he needs to stop.
I think he's reckless.
Yeah.
I do think something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah. Like
especially because he's siphoning, you know, like it's not just himself, like he's doing this to other people too.
I think he would hurt Thick, and that would hurt the whole coterie. So.
I can definitely see there being some crazy confrontation where he goes too far when they're like out on their trip to that island whose name I can't remember, where like the dragon is. And I'm just like, I just feel like things are gonna go wrong, and the way he's been getting, I just feel like he's gonna go too far. He's gonna have an experiment go wrong, where he's gonna try and like pull too much strength from Thick or something. That's that's fair. That's
I was on the beach,
fair.
and I was just like,
I brought Golden Fool with me on vacation, and I'm like, I'm depressed on vacation now. I gotta stop.
Like my last 3 vacations, I have been reading a Hobb book for all 3 of them.
You're gonna associate.
You didn't want to get too happy. It happens.
You got to keep yourself grounded in the real world.
I'll be honest. I listened to the whole Golden Fool on audio, so I think
they're on script.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's where I'm listening to them.
Yeah, like I didn't physically read any of it.
I have found that since being in school, most of my reading is now audiobooks because I just don't have time to sit down. Like if I sit down to do something, I do school. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the next live show to see, because by then, of course, I'll be done. I'll be done hopefully tomorrow. I'm 500.
Oh my
and
gosh. You didn't listen to me at all, did you?
No, I'm 554 pages into this out of 805 pages.
Oh my god.
So I've got 250 pages left. And I at this point, like, it's nothing but like falling actions and resolutions at this point.
You
And like,
basically know all the answers to everything we talked about.
yeah, pretty much.
All right. What did you think about Dutiful
Really?
learning about Fitz in the letters?
I thought the letters were so cute.
I'm glad that he knows his real identity. I mean, I think that's important. And I feel like if you know someone's family, you're going to automatically feel a little bit more kinship with them, a little bit closer to them. So,
Well,
Now's
it's like
where
a
I
connection
can't
with
say anything.
Dad, you know?
and he's got a sister.
He's his father, not his dad.
Oh, yes.
So
They are technically different definitions. I got yelled at when I was a kid.
I mean, apparently I shouldn't have even started it this morning because there is a Fitz dutiful moment within the first 4 chapters. That's heartbreaking. There was just so much, so many of the interactions, and that's what Hobb really gets you is with the character interactions. Yeah. That was so sad. And we briefly touched on the letters earlier too, and just kind of like knowing that Chivalry did actually care, you know, that was like, I feel like it kind of doesn't change anything, but it still tugs at the heartstrings anyway.
So Andrew, does Fitz get a new wit companion, like another Night Eyes?
Whoa, don't spoil. Don't spoil.
I want to know. You can just tell me.
It would be way too soon for that. I don't consider that a spoiler.
You don't?
I don't. It's been weeks. Like, it's like losing like a spouse, a soulmate. Like, I don't consider that a spoiler. Like, it's too soon for, like, he straight up said at the end of
No.
Fool's Errand, I'll never bond again.
Yeah, well, you just do one thing and then in grief, and then.
I honestly wonder because I feel like Fitz needs a Bond companion, but
about how lonely he is.
He's still got Night Eyes telling him to stop being an idiot.
Yeah, but
he needs it.
I just in some ways I don't necessarily see him ever doing it again. I feel like he'll always have that piece of Night Eyes.
But there was this one part of the book where he's thinking to himself, where he's always lonely, and the only ever constant companion he had was Night Eyes. So why would you not?
Night Eyes died on him though, and it almost destroyed him.
Well, maybe his new constant companion will be the Fool, who's secretly some other creature that he can wit bond with somehow. I don't know.
That'd be weird.
Wild.
I don't really mean that.
I think my theory is if he's going to bond again, it won't be until Fitz and the Fool.
Okay, well then he needs to bond with like an elephant because they live like 80 years, and then it'll outlive him. So
I thought he was going to bond My Black for a while.
Oh,
no, I mean the whole point of My Black was that he didn't want to.
I thought he was maybe going to bond with the ferret.
I like the ferret.
I do like
the ferret's great, but the ferret wouldn't, like, I don't know. What use is it in battle unless it can kill princes in their sleep? And it's the wrong ferret. If he's gonna bond a ferret, I want it to be the murder assassin ferret.
That ferret's probably not still alive, Andrew.
Well,
ferrets don't live that long.
It's gonna be.
I know, Derry. I know. I was just making a joke.
She gotta correct you.
I probably would have done the same thing, but yeah, no, that's where I know that because the Fool doesn't register on the wit sense, so I know that just is the other weird thing. Like, unless it's masked somehow, that goes back to like not entirely human, but like I don't know, maybe the whites are like a manifestation of power or something. I don't know. There's something weird there for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely something weird. Like,
yeah, with the ferret though, like she writes. I can see it. She writes a ferret so perfectly. I wonder if she had a ferret at some point, because that was how I'm like. I had ferrets when I was a teenager, and I'm like that's exactly what a ferret would do in this situation.
The cat. She wrote the cat so good too. What's the cat?
Oh, I love the cat.
Orange cat.
You
Oh,
love the cat.
no.
Put the cat in your lap.
All right,
That's the moral of the story right there.
That's the
I
whole
think that's
moral
a
of the story.
safe assumption.
Life is terrible, and then you die.
I'm just gonna lower my expectations right now.
Yes.
Uh,
Good times. All right. Well, I personally don't have anything else. No one.
I think we've pretty much covered some really good ground.
Good.
So.
All right. Well, if the people in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. Your conversation was awesome. Derry, thank you for joining us, and Jennifer and Tag and adding all those awesome comments and questions. You guys rock. If you guys don't have anything else, then I guess we will sign off. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Everybody, see you next time.
Bye.